Hollywood often tells us stories of glamour, passion, and star-crossed romance. But behind the lights and the cameras, the truth is far more intimate, tender, and human. At just 19, Lauren Bacall walked onto the set of To Have and Have Not in 1944, a young actress full of ambition and quiet determination, and met Humphrey Bogart, a seasoned star 45, carrying the weight of Hollywood and his own private battles. Their on-screen chemistry ignited the imaginations of audiences around the world, but it was the invisible private moments, the laughter shared between takes, the guidance he offered, the vulnerability they allowed each other, that forged a bond far deeper than fame or reputation could ever reveal. By 1945, they were married, their love becoming one of Hollywood's most celebrated unions. For decades, the public saw the elegance, the poise, and the magnetism, but very few knew the human story beneath it all, the insecurities, the devotion, the quiet strength, and the tender courage that defined their lives together. This is the story of Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart, not just as icons, but as two hearts navigating love, loss, and the relentless glow of the spotlight. Lauren Bacall was born in 1924 in the Bronx, New York, into a world that demanded resilience and imagination. From her earliest days, she carried a quiet poise and an intensity that set her apart, a quality that would eventually illuminate Broadway stages and modeling shoots alike. By the early 1940s, Bacall had begun carving a path for herself in the city's theater scene, appearing in small productions and taking modeling assignments that honed her presence and confidence. It was a life of ambition tempered by youth, a world where every opportunity came with pressure, every glance was measured, and every decision carried weight for the young woman determined to rise. In 1944, fate intervened. On the set of To Have and Have Not, Bacall met Humphrey Bogart, a man whose very name carried the gravitas of Hollywood. Bogart, in his mid-40s, was already an icon, celebrated for roles in Casablanca and The Maltese Falcon, a man whose career had been built on intensity, discipline, and a magnetic presence that commanded every frame he inhabited. For Bacall, stepping onto that set was both thrilling and daunting. She was a young actress, barely 20, learning the craft, discovering herself, and suddenly face to face with a legend whose talent was matched only by his exacting nature. The chemistry between them was immediate and undeniable. It was not just physical magnetism, but an emotional recognition, a quiet understanding that would shape the course of their lives. Bacall admired Bogart's craft, his integrity, and the steadiness that belied his complex inner life. Bogart, in turn, recognized a rare brilliance in the young woman before him, her voice, her gaze, the way she carried herself with a confidence that belied her years. On set, as cameras rolled and the pressures of Hollywood mounted, their connection deepened, a private sanctuary amid the glare of the spotlight. For Bacall, the emotional terrain was uncharted, falling in love with a man 2 decades her senior, a star whose reputation preceded him, brought both exhilaration and trepidation. She navigated the complexities of youth and experience, admiration and infatuation, learning to balance her own ambition with the intensity of a relationship that would define her personal and professional life. Hollywood, with its rigid hierarchies and relentless scrutiny, offered no easy path. Yet within the fleeting moments between takes, the shared glances, and the quiet exchanges, Bacall found both guidance and intimacy, the beginnings of a partnership grounded in respect, fascination, and mutual trust. By 1945, the world would witness the culmination of their courtship in marriage, a union that surprised many yet felt inevitable to those who understood the depth of their connection. Bacall and Bogart, young and old, novice and veteran, brought to each other not just companionship, but a mirror for their own ambitions and vulnerabilities. Their early days together were colored by the intensity of Hollywood, the scrutiny of the public, and the challenges of merging 2 very different lives. Yet it was these circumstances that forged a bond capable of withstanding the years ahead. From Bacall's first steps on stage in New York, to the sound stages of Hollywood. From tentative glances to whispered confidences, a profound love quietly took shape, a love that would captivate the world. It was rooted in admiration, in discovery, and in the steady courage of a young woman learning to find her own voice beside a legend whose presence both inspired and challenged her. Every glance, every shared moment, carried the weight of vulnerability and the promise of something timeless. As the cameras rolled and the lights glimmered across Hollywood sound stages, the partnership between Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart deepened, blending artistry with intimacy in ways that few could witness, yet everyone could sense. Their love was not a quiet thing, tucked away from the world. It moved in tandem with their work, flourishing amidst the demands of scripts, studio pressures, and the relentless gaze of public attention. Each film they shared, The Big Sleep in 1946, Dark Passage in 1947, and Key Largo in 1948, was not merely a performance but an extension of their connection, a delicate weaving of professional trust and personal affection. In the early days, Bacall's remarkable poise and cool confidence masked the tremors of a young actress navigating the immense shadow of her husband's legend. Under Bogart's quiet guidance, she learned to inhabit her roles fully, to project strength and subtlety, to hold her own beside a man whose presence could dominate a room and a screen. Bogart, already an icon, recognized her potential and nurtured it, not as a teacher to a pupil, but as a partner in the shared craft they both revered. Their collaboration was symbiotic. She brought a fresh, daring energy, while he offered experience tempered by kindness and patience. Each rehearsal, each scene, each line delivered on set was an act of trust, a negotiation of creative space and emotional vulnerability, where the boundaries between professional and personal life blurred in the most intimate ways. Yet the brilliance of their shared work never erased the human complexities behind the scenes. The glare of Hollywood's attention was constant, unyielding, and sometimes unkind. Rumors, critiques, and the ever-present whispers of scandal threatened to intrude upon the sanctuary of their private life. They faced the relentless expectation that marriage and career could coexist seamlessly, that passion could remain steadfast amidst the long hours, the endless takes, and the pressure to perform flawlessly under the scrutinizing eyes of the industry. In these moments, their bond was both shield and anchor. They supported each other through rewrites and studio demands, through premieres and press conferences, through the unspoken anxieties of two people learning to merge lives without losing themselves. The emotional architecture of their love was built in quiet, tender ways, small gestures of reassurance between takes, shared meals where the world's pressures could be set aside, whispered conversations that acknowledged the weight of what they were carrying. Bacall's growth as an actress was inseparable from the trust she placed in Bogart, and his later performances were enriched by the authenticity and vibrancy she brought into their shared scenes. Each day together on set became a rehearsal not only for cinematic excellence, but for sustaining a delicate equilibrium between love and ambition, intimacy and independence. Even in the most glamorous of settings, their relationship remained rooted in human tenderness, a commitment to understanding and respecting one another. Amid the chaos of fame, the world saw glamour, wit, and effortless chemistry on screen, but behind the lens existed shared doubts, quiet reassurances, and the work of two people safeguarding their connection while navigating relentless public scrutiny. Every embrace on screen, each knowing glance was informed by whispered encouragement, unspoken support, and the subtle recognition that love and artistry, when intertwined with care, could endure. Their partnership was proof that even in a world defined by illusion, authentic connection could thrive, and in that thriving, they built a legacy that would endure far beyond the final cut of any film. Bacall and Bogart moved through Hollywood, not merely as stars but as co-architects of their own narrative, blending personal affection with professional brilliance, creating a story that was as much about trust, loyalty, and mutual respect as it was about cinematic achievement. They demonstrated that intimacy could coexist with fame, that mentorship could coexist with partnership, and that love could survive and flourish amidst the dazzling, demanding, and often unforgiving machinery of the studio system. In the end, their collaboration was a testament to the enduring power of human connection, a warmth beneath the spotlight, a tenderness that gave every scene, every line, and every frame a life beyond the screen. The glow of Hollywood could not shield Lauren Bacall from the quiet devastation that entered her life in 1956. Humphrey Bogart, her husband, her partner in art and life, received a diagnosis of esophageal cancer, a cruel intrusion that no script could soften. For Bacall, who had navigated fame and ambition with remarkable poise, this was a confrontation with vulnerability she had never anticipated. The world saw the glamour, the chemistry on screen, the effortless elegance of a legendary pair, yet behind the cameras and beyond the limelight, she confronted the relentless weight of illness, grief, and the uncharted responsibilities of caregiving. The final months were a mosaic of fear, hope, and the intimate rhythms of devotion. Hospital rooms replaced Hollywood stages. Medical reports became scripts she could not rehearse, and each day carried the quiet tension of watching the man she loved confront his mortality. Bacall's days and nights were filled with the practicalities of care, coordinating treatments, understanding symptoms, navigating the clinical language of a world she had never known, interlaced with the tender, wordless moments that defined their connection. She learned the cadence of his breathing, the subtle shifts in his expression, the quiet cues that told her when he was in pain or when comfort was needed. Holding his hand in dimly lit rooms, offering quiet smiles between bouts of discomfort, she became the anchor in a storm that the public could never fully witness. Bogart, ever the composed figure of cinematic strength, now faced the vulnerability of illness. Bacall observed the man who had carried himself with such authority and charm confront the fragility of the human body. Their shared life, so vividly expressed on screen, became a testament to resilience and intimacy off-screen. Every action, every gesture was imbued with care and devotion. Adjusting a pillow, smoothing the rumpled sheet, brushing back his hair, whispering reassurance, all these small acts became monumental expressions of love. In these moments, the rehearsed smiles of Hollywood could offer no shield. There was only the truth of a partnership forged in respect, laughter, and the quiet courage of enduring a life together. On January 14, 1957, Bogart passed away at the age of 57. The news reverberated through Hollywood, through the screens where millions had admired him. Yet the true weight of loss was experienced most keenly by the woman who had shared decades of creative partnership, laughter, and tender nights with him. Bacall, at 32, found herself suddenly navigating widowhood, the world's gaze pressing upon her even as she grieved in private. The public's memory of Bogart as a figure of invincible charm now mingled with the intimate knowledge of his fragility, of the tenderness that had existed behind the persona of the Hollywood legend. Even in the heartbreak of loss, Bacall's devotion never wavered. She carried the lessons of their shared life, the trust, the mutual respect, the unspoken understanding of one another, into the silence that followed. The glamour, the films, the accolades remained, but it was in the quiet mourning, in the rituals of remembrance, and in the steadfastness of her love that the true human story endured. The nights that once echoed with the cadence of shared laughter now held the weight of absence, yet Bacall's love transformed that emptiness into memory, into reverence, into a life lived with the presence of one who had loved deeply. In the years that followed, Bacall's grace, resilience, and quiet fortitude became a testament not to the spectacle of Hollywood, but to the enduring power of intimate, human devotion. The heartbreak of those months, of that final goodbye, remained etched in memory, shaping a woman who had loved, lost, and survived with a tenderness and dignity that the world could admire, yet could never fully comprehend. It was in this crucible of grief that Bacall's own voice, her strength, and her artistry continued to flourish, guided always by the lessons of a love that transcended fame, that endured through illness, and that illuminated the extraordinary depths of the human heart. After Humphrey Bogart's passing on January 14, 1957, Lauren Bacall faced a life that demanded reinvention and quiet courage. The loss of a partner so central to her world left an ache that would never fully fade, yet it also illuminated her own resilience. Bacall, now navigating widowhood at 32, turned to the very craft that had first brought her into Hollywood's orbit. Broadway stages, film sets and television studios became both refuge and affirmation, spaces where her voice, her presence, and her artistry could flourish independent of the shadow of her past. Her career in the years following Bogart's death was a testament to determination and talent. She returned to the theater with a vigor that honored her own abilities, appearing in critically acclaimed productions that allowed audiences to witness the range of her talent. Film roles continued to showcase her elegance and strength, blending the sophistication she was known for with the emotional depth she had cultivated through personal trials. Each performance carried the subtle imprint of experience, the nuance of a woman who had loved deeply and lost profoundly, bringing a human tenderness to every line spoken, every expression held. In 1961, Bacall married actor Jason Robards, finding companionship once more, while navigating the delicate balance of public expectation and private fulfillment. Their union, layered with its own complexities, brought new dimensions to her life, and Bacall approached it with the same grace and honesty that had characterized her earlier love with Bogart. Amidst marriage and the challenges of raising children, she maintained her professional commitments, modeling an extraordinary capacity for balance, resilience, and dedication. Motherhood added another layer to her identity, grounding her while amplifying her understanding of responsibility, love, and emotional depth. The intimacy of family life, the quiet joys and trials of raising children, became a counterpoint to the public world that had long defined her. Beyond personal relationships, Bacall embraced a role as an advocate and public presence in the years that followed. She lent her voice to causes she believed in, her poise and authority lending weight to advocacy efforts that spanned decades. Through interviews, speeches, and appearances, she reflected candidly on her experiences, offering insight into a life lived under extraordinary scrutiny and yet marked by profound emotional authenticity. Her presence, whether on stage, screen, or in public dialogue, communicated the lessons of a life shaped by both triumph and heartbreak, and the value of maintaining one's sense of self amidst the currents of fame. Throughout this period, Bacall cultivated a life that honored both her past and her present. She carried the memory of Bogart with tenderness, never allowing grief to diminish her own identity, yet letting the experience of love, loss, and devotion inform every facet of her subsequent choices. Professionally and personally, she navigated the complexities of independence with dignity, demonstrating that life after profound loss could still be rich, purposeful, and deeply human. Her career continued to be defined not merely by fame, but by the emotional authenticity she brought to each endeavor, the quiet strength she embodied, and the intimacy she preserved in her relationships, both on and off the stage. Lauren Bacall's post-Bogart years reveal the remarkable capacity of the human spirit to endure, to grow, and to transform. She emerged as an artist, a partner, a mother, and a woman of unwavering integrity, illustrating the delicate balance between honoring the past and embracing the future. The tenderness, reflection, and emotional honesty she carried into every project and relationship became the living testament to a life fully lived, one that resonated not only with audiences but with anyone who has known love, loss, and the courage to continue. In the quiet stretch of her later years, Lauren Bacall finally allowed herself to speak plainly about the love that had shaped her life. At 84, she reflected, not with bitterness or regret, but with a steady tenderness that time had only softened. Humphrey Bogart had been her great love, the man who saw her potential before she fully understood it herself, the partner who stood beside her as she transformed from a young model from the Bronx into one of Hollywood's most enduring voices. His loss had carved a space in her life that was never filled, yet she learned to live with that absence, to build a life of artistry, independence, and family around the memory of a love that had changed her forever. Her truth was never sensational, never shaped for headlines. It was simple and deeply human, the kind of truth that comes only from a life long examined. She loved him, she lost him, and she carried him with her, always. For more emotional stories, check out this video.